They're so witty. Ha 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 ha. You're so funny. You're so funny. The music looks loud. Knock everything over before we even start. Cool. Okay. I should probably start advertising when I'm going live. Don't know, that might help. Maybe. We're just kind of in it today. In the vibe, chilling, pushing buttons. Living in the paint world. Okay. I want this, and this. I have this. I'll keep that right there. Don't know if I'm gonna need that. I'll take this. We'll keep that there. Sure. Give me this brush. Kinda wanna do that, but you know what? No, it'll take forever to dry. I'm not gonna do that. I'll have that ready next time. Sorry, I'm thinking ahead. While I sit here and set up. So I'm thinking that next time I'll do a textured painting and with like molding paste, or I saw a video today where a woman put gesso or gesso. I think it's gesso. It's me, hello. I saw a lady put gesso to prime her watercolor paper for texture purposes, and I thought, ooh, though, like, why? I mean, why watercolor paper? It's so expensive. I guess it's a good way to kind of like repurpose like cheap watercolor paper if you put a layer of gesso over top. But I don't know that I would do that to, you know, some astronomically expensive like watercolor paper. It just kind of seems counterintuitive, but hey, do you? We'll just get going. I'm not gonna sit here with a 5-minute starting screen. That's really bright. So my ring light came, but dang, it's bright. Let's dim it. Is that good? That looks better though, right? So I don't have like the dark forehead. I think that looks fine. Move this stuff over. I don't need my mouse here. Move it too. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking today. I painted this yesterday and I hated it. I made an entire like step-by-step video on how to paint this bee. And I hated it. I'm not gonna say I hated it. Like, I liked the bee. I don't like how I did the flowers. Okay, because I think it looked prettier when I sprinkled salt on it before I tried to go in and give like individual flowers here, and I felt like it just took away from the whole thing. So I don't really want to do that. What I'm thinking is doing it again, but not trying to put the individual flowers in there. I think that was kind of Also, I want to use a different color palette. The ones that I used here were my small palette, which has, you know, my Naples yellow, my yellow ochre, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, pale violet, Venetian red, sepia, and black. I also have phthalo blue here, and woo-wee, I think that's quinacridone violet, but I could be wrong. It might be the dioxanide purple. So, and I love this palette, but it didn't really work for this when I needed a more of like a quinacridone gold to make that bee stand out, because the bee looks very, there's nothing wrong with this look, it's just very muted. And I wanted something that was a little more vibrant, so we're gonna redo it. Or I am. Anyway, before we get started, I told you the other day that Sarah Burns, I think her name is Sarah Burns Studio on YouTube, recommended for your references, if you didn't know like what you wanted to paint for the day, to print out tiny little images from your references. And that's what I did here. I thought that was a great idea. I'm gonna turn the music down just a hair because it looks like it's louder than me, and I'm pretty loud. How's that? Cool, thanks. So I found these little bee pictures from a free site called I don't remember because I'm scatterbrained. It's I'll have to, you know what? I'll let you know at the end of stream what it's called, because right now it's like it's like free images from photographers that let you use their photography in your artwork, and then you can sell it. There's also Facebook pages galore of like reference photos that people give for free so that you can make your own art and so on. But I found all of these off of the site, and I thought they were all so pretty. Like, I really want to paint this one. I'm really excited to do this kind of like really pretty wintry scene. It's got some really nice colors in it. Where's my camera? It's over here. Look at how pretty. Like, yeah. I want to work on that one. I also really like this one, and I thought about doing this one today because I liked it so much. I'm gonna stick with the plan and do the bee, and then I may save this one for next time. Yeah. And these were all free, so I printed them up on the little paper that I have. This is the biggest size of semi-gloss photo paper that I have, so we make do with what we have, right? That's what I have. So, and it was fine because these are tiny little paintings anyway. I don't need, like, it would have been convenient to have a big sheet and print mass off at one time instead of like printing them off over, you know, having to change the paper 20 times to get a couple pictures out of them. But this one I thought was really pretty because I like how in the foreground the flowers are brought really forward and everything else is kind of blurred, which I think would look so nice with watercolor or pastel. So I may save this one for pastel because I think this one, ooh-wee. You know what? I may save both of these because I think like the yellows are gonna pop so well with pastel. I love all the yellow in this, and it's very warm and happy. And I'd like to be surrounded by warmth and happiness. This season's just been kind of hectic and chaotic for me, so a lot of learning and growth. I think this one's really pretty too. It's very cool. It's got some really nice warm colors in it, but it's wintry, so it feels like it's cold outside. I like to work on paintings that make me feel some kind of way, whether the weather reflects that, or the color palette. You know what I'm trying to say there? I don't know if that makes sense, but it did in my head. I'm gonna put those aside. So we're gonna repaint this, or at least I am. And what I did here, I even made a whole like demonstration, right, of these 3 techniques that I was gonna work with, and one of them is wet on wet to get this really nice background in the green, and then wet on dry for the bee, and then salt for the flower, which I'm still gonna do, but I'm gonna do it a little differently this time. So I do still have that video, but you know. Oh, that's a huge bummer. Do you see that? Oh. I'm telling you, man. I got 1 sheet of this left. Ugh. It's alright. It's okay, because you know what? Whatever I paint on stream is for sale. If you'd like to purchase anything that you see, let me know. And all proceeds goes to buy paper. Thank you. Since I seem to be running out of that again. Cool. At least you know I paint. At least you know I'm not just sitting here like hoarding a bunch of art supplies and I'm not using them. Like, no, I have a ton of supplies. I say a ton. I have as much as I need. I just ran out of paper is all. Huzzah! So that's why I'm thinking, and I think I even ran this by you, Shin. This is why I'm thinking of doing sketchbook art instead. Because I'm using the paper that I love, and I like this paper. I like to use it. But I think for YouTube or Facebook, sorry, what am I on? Twitch? Which one of these? I think for Twitch streaming or YouTube streaming or whichever, that it would probably be wiser to use a sketchbook and then either give it away or auction it off. Probably auction it because it's just going to help support the channel and allow me to buy more paper once it's filled up. Plus I can make scans of everything in the book before I sell it, and then at least I'll still have the artwork or whatever. So let's zoom in here. Boom. Look at that. All right. So I did not put the reference on the screen because it's right here. Look at this little bee. This is what I'm gonna do today. For the second time. Because that's how you learn. Is that crooked? I feel like it is. So another note is that I have to figure out, I gotta find my old case so that my phone will sit flat. It's just kind of hovering. There's that, what's that little thing called that sits on the back of your phone and it like a pop-up, a pop-it. So you can hold your phone like this in your hand and it like sits in between your fingers. I think it's like a pop-it or something. And it's not really working with my the magnetic side of my phone. Wow. Right, so I'm gonna have to do something about that. Actually, I think this goes more like this. I kind of like want to still follow somewhat of the shape of the flowers here. I guess you can kind of see that. It's not really important that you see the sketch. I'm just placing really where I see the flowers going so that I can work on my bee. And my bee is gonna come up here like this. I wish I knew bee anatomy a little bit better. Sorry, I don't. And then bring this body down to about here. And then the rest is all fuzzy. Okay, yay. Round 2. Little bee, little bee. Me and you, we're gonna make this happen. Also, I had a little bit of like a bleed. It like, I went too far over with when I went on my wet on wet, and I kind of lost some of my lines. when I did it the first time. Which wasn't what I wanted to do. Hey, but we learned. Okay, lessons are learned. I'm putting the eye right there so I know where the eye goes. I'm going to sketch in this yellow here so I know where this yellow band is, and leave this black. And then here's my other yellow band. Looks more like this. Actually, it's like a straight line like this. And then here's this big old leg. Bee anatomy. Gonna study some bees after this. Darn it. And then my wing is up here. Yeah, that looks good. And then it's just gonna kind of come straight out like this. Actually, that's not right, because it really should go like this. And I'm gonna thin this because I'm looking at the reference. And this is why we sketch. You could see that you don't really see the back side of the bee through the wing right there. So I'm just gonna kind of fix that a little bit. So it looks more like the reference. And the leg now kind of comes down like this. If you're gonna do it right. This is kind of the woes of traditional art when you have to erase everything because you don't have like the nice eraser tool. You're just kind of at the mercy of your own ability to observe what you see. Okay, and then that looks fine, and then here's where it's black. And then there's some little squiggly where there's more black, and then some more black, and then he's just kind of fuzzy right there. I also kind of want to be careful because I don't want him to look like a wasp. Her, him, I think they're all female. Yeah, I think the ones that go and collect the honey are all female. If I remember what the bee lady said, because the males stay behind and build the hive for the queen, and they guard the queen. And even though they may all, I think I'll have to look that up too. I don't want to spread false information, you know, but I think that's what the bee lady said. Music is a little too chill for me. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there because usually I listen to stuff that's a little bit more neurotic. Alright, so this is our sketch. It's fine. My paper is a little longer than the paper that the reference is on, so it should stop about here. And you know what? That's fine. You know what I'll do is that I'll just tape it off where I want this to kind of stop. So about here. And then I can use this side of the paper for like, I don't know, swatches. That's crooked. It looks crooked. Does this look crooked to you? Oh, well, welcome back, Mocap. Hello, welcome in. How are you? How are you? Hello, hello. This palette has a lot of the colors in it that I need. It's got some yellow. I'm not sure which yellow it is. I've got some Saturn orange. May dip into that. But it's got all the pinks and the purples already in it and all of my greens. So this is probably my most versatile palette that I put together. It's also probably the more organized of all of my palettes. It depends on what I'm working on. Like in this case, part of this will be wet on wet, and then this will be wet on dry. So this is what I did yesterday. I don't know how long you've been here, but this is what I did yesterday. And I got some things right about it that I really liked. But some things I didn't like. I didn't like how muted the color palette was. And this is a palette, it's this palette, right, that I like to use. But I wanted that B to be more yellow. Like I wanted that yellow a little more vibrant, and I wanted the pinks in this to step out more, and they didn't. So I'm gonna redo it, and we can talk about some techniques. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my tissue ready, because there will be tears if I mess this up again. And again, like it's fine. You know what I missed? I missed some legs that are right here. So I'm gonna try to just mark them real quick. There. So I know where they're at. Now I'm gonna continue on with this process. And I'm gonna get it pretty wet. I could spray it, but I'm not going to. I may spray the background, but I feel like it's just gonna I'm gonna lose some of where I want. You know what I could do? What say you? What if I got out ye ol' brusho? What do you guys think about that? What if we maybe we should test it first. Let's test it first. Let's put this aside before we get a little crazy. And on the back of this, everything looks good. You say that. So we want like these kind of pinks here, right? All right, so let's see what we have. Or we could use some sponges, but let's go ahead and we got purple, got some violet, okay. I may use both of those. We just want to pick the best shade. I've got red, alizarin crimson, and then crimson. And some of these you have to be careful with because they are going to end up looking a little more violet or a little more pink. And this stuff is really, really, really pigmented, so we do have to be a little bit careful with what we're doing here when we're playing with this stuff, because it can get out of hand really quickly. All right, let's go with these, and we'll find a shade that we like. How's that sound? All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead. I will spray. Well, we'll just wet it. Whatever. I want to emulate what I've already done to the paper over there. So I'm not gonna use a spray bottle unless I need to. All right, so the paper is pretty wet. Okay. And the first one we'll do is let's do some rose red and see how this turns out. It's gonna, like, I gotta be careful. So that's one little drop. That's there's a tiny pinhole in the top of the cap, so you can see how that kind of goes crazy. and it could work. But maybe this color is a little too dark. Let's see if we can just like kind of lift some of that. Because this may be the way to go. So I think that's pretty, right? These are our options right now. That's rose red. We want something that's gonna kind of go along with this. And we can always layer this, but we want to kind of be careful. I think that's a good contender right now. So we're looking at alizarin crimson or crimson, which we'll do over here. Good luck to us, right? Okay. Let's see. That's kind of pretty too. This is crimson. It does have really nice movement. It's more red than the rose, and it also has more purple in it. Okay. And then we'll do a little bit of the... I think that's... Let's not do this one. Let's do violet or purple. So that's purple. No, that's violet. I think that's a little too dark. I know. Blow dry it. Ah. Let's try purple. See if we can... Okay. So I do like the purple with the crimson. I think that'll layer nicely. What say you guys? Brusho or no brusho for the flowers? What do you think? I think I like the salt looked really nice. Now I don't know how salt is gonna look on top of brusho, but let's find out if it'll react the same. And then we could put this aside. You know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll do this first. We'll go ahead and do salt on this flower. Okay. We'll do a light wash. And then we can always add brusho. Can always add brusho. Like anytime. Anytime in the process is a good time to add brusho. Alright. So I'm gonna go in with the lightest pink, I think. Very soft. Right. And then we'll do... Let's see, what's this? lost the color that I had originally picked up. Ah. That's alright. I kind of dipped my brush in the wrong pink, but we'll make it work. And then I'm gonna go in with some violet in here, where it's a little bit darker. Just kind of drop some little darker and then we will dip into the salt and hopefully get some nice texture out of it once it's dried. The blow dryer, which we're not gonna do today. I'm sorry to disappoint. No blow dryer. It's an affront to art. All right. So while that's drying, I'm gonna work on the screen. I need to get used to saying I'm gonna work on that. I mean, we could. I don't know. Are we? Are you? Are we working on this together? I have this really pretty green gold that has been screaming for me to use it. So I listen. I'm going to use it today. You know what I was thinking the other day is that I actually really like the earlier time slot, like to stream earlier in the day, like around 11 or noon central. It's just such a relaxing time. And not to say like I don't like night streams, I do. It's just usually this time of night I'm working on my own projects. Not to say like this isn't a project. They all are, but I mean like something that I'm focused on. Something that I would put on my website. The stuff, not to say like I wouldn't put this on my website, because I would. It's just the wrong season for it. Work on wintry stuff. I could, what I would do is convert this here into, say, a like a card, like letter writing, because I still like to send cards out to family. So I think this would make a nice card. To send. I'm going in with this quinacridone gold because I can. And I think it looks really pretty. And I'll use it in everything. This was actually a gift from Shin a really long time ago when I first started. Shin, we've been friends a really long time. When I started really getting into watercolor, I was obsessed with how beautiful this yellow was. And Shin had got it showed up at my door one day and I was so excited. And I used it in everything because it was so pretty. Oh man, that is such a beautiful. You can mix it with anything. Alright, so all of this has so far been a lot of wet on wet. You just have to be patient with it and let it dry, because yeah, it's gonna look like this until it dries. And you also have to keep in mind that when you're working with watercolor, the light fastness, it's gonna fade when it dries. So it depends on how pigmented the color is. That when it dries, it's gonna be a lot lighter than when you put it down. So keep that in mind when you're working on anything with watercolor. Honest NPC, welcome back, welcome back. So all I'm doing now is spattering this with water because I like to destroy my reference that's in front of me with water splatters. I never think. All right. So while that does its little drying thing for the next hour and a half before I can add anything else to it, and I am going to let these puddles stay because, I don't know, it's pretty wet. We'll lift it a little bit. I don't want to sit here for 3 hours waiting for this to dry. So I'll lift it a little. I'll lift it a little. So go in here and kind of lift some of these lighter flowers out. Because I still want the salt to do what it's going to do. And like a lot of the salt is already dissolved. Whatever, we're gonna let it go. All right, and now I'm gonna work on this bee. 40 minutes in and I've done like nothing. Nothing. This is what it's like to paint every day, even when you don't feel like painting every day. It's just a constant battle with yourself. Just I don't want to wait for this to dry. I gotta work on something else. No, I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna put this brush aside though, so I don't forget that that's kind of what I wanted to do. So I'm gonna work on this bee, but here's the issue. It's like I want to make this fuzzy, like I want this to be fuzzy right here, the way the bee is here. But the paper is super wet. So what happens is if I start working on this while the paper is so wet, this nonsense happens. And it does this weird bleeding thing, and then I tried to fix it and it doesn't work, and then it ends up looking like this, and that's not what I wanted. So I may have to work on something else while this dries. What did I say I wanted to work on? Wasn't there a landscape in here? While we wait for this bee to dry. I don't want to work on this one today. It was this one. I also have a cow that I wanted to paint. I have a cow. But you know what we can do? Here's what I'll do. I usually have this planned out, but I'm gonna be honest, I thought about canceling stream tonight because I wasn't feeling good today. I was feeling very self-sabotaging and sad and overwhelmed and depressed and stuff, so I was thinking, you know, maybe I'll just cancel stream today because I don't my mood, but then, you know, if I did that every time I got in that mood, I would never get anything done ever. So here we are. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. We can go over some watercolor techniques in case you guys are curious. If you're not, too bad, we're doing it anyway. All right, so the first technique I'd like to go over is a little wet on wet, and that's what I started that painting with. And all wet on wet means is that the paper is wet, pretty uniform depending on what you're trying to do, but in this case, I wanted the paper pretty wet. So in this square, you can see that's the only place that the watercolor is going to go, is wherever it's going to follow the water. Okay, that's really the most control you can hope for, is that when you put water down, the paint is only gonna follow the water. Okay, I'm gonna go in with the Saturn red. I know it's Saturn red and it's freaking orange, but you can see here that it's only going to kind of follow the square. All right, paint's not gonna magically leap off the page and go somewhere else. It's gonna stay in that square. Now that's really pretty. You can see how it's like, I don't know what that's called. There's a word for it. And I don't know it. But it's doing a thing here and it looks cool. Okay. Another thing you can do, you can let that dry. And then it's going to not, you know, it's going to leave this like really granulated effect when it dries. If you don't like that, you don't want that kind of a granulated look, that's fine. It's not all. Sometimes you just want a flat color. Then you just make sure that when you apply the paint in the square, that it's as uniform as you can get it. That there's no pooling. Okay. If you start to see pooling anywhere, you can add more paint. Until it's, you know, pretty consistent. Or another thing that you can do if there's too much pooling, was it as in like there's a big old drip of water and that's too much water there, you can take your brush and dry it, okay, and it's gonna soak up that water. All right, so that's another thing that you can do to kind of control the flow of pigment on the water. So another little thing that you can do with wet on wet, a lot of floral artists do this, is they'll go in with like, I'll do like green in this case. Okay. And again, the paint is only going to go where the water is. And you can kind of lightly tap pigment in this way, which looks really pretty. And maybe you like that. You can also go in with a wet brush and add to it. And it'll pull the pigment with it. And then you can add, you know, darker, you can start mixing in colors with it. Like so. Again, it has to be pretty wet. So if you're not applying, if you're not getting this effect, it's because you didn't use enough water. Don't be stingy. Okay. Okay, so there's this. And you can tilt it. All right. Looks good. So another thing that you can do is called glazing, and glazing is hard. Okay, so if you're not awesome at watercolor, this may be a little difficult for you. So we'll just put like a petal shape right here. And even I kind of struggle a little bit with glazing, right? But I want to put, there's a big old drip of water. All right, so you can see that little petal of water. Yes. All right, cool. Take this purple here and I'm just going to drop that in there. It's pretty loud, right? Actually, that looks really good and I kind of want to leave that alone. But I want to spread this out because glazing is what happens when you take your brush and you kind of dry it off and you lift the pigment with your dry brush. You have to rinse it a few times. And then push that pigment down the page to the darkest part of the petal. I think that's my... And it takes some patience, okay? Because it does. The more layers you add to this, the more, what's the technical term? The prettier it gets. Like, I don't know. So, like, you want to kind of leave an edge here, though. That's kind of what I missed, was that like I said, I'm not excellent at glazing, but you kind of want to keep that edge on there. That's gonna matter as you layer this. So when that dries, you go over it again. Okay. So like if I was gonna do a petal over here now. Okay. It's okay if these like bleed into each other. Not. And then I add my color. All right. And then I take my brush now. And push it down. What was that? What? Shin, what did you do? 70% of my goal? Shin. Thank you. I saw that. You little sneak. You tried to sneak that past me. I heard it go off. Shin, thank you. I appreciate that. That's so that's A. That's paper. Oh, it's going right into paper. I know it says colored pencils, but it's going to paper. Oh. So while that now I'm trying to like stay composed. Damn it. You guys are just destroying me today. Oh. Damn it! No, hold it together. Keep it together. It's fine. Thank you, Shin. Why do y'all do this to me? Don't clip this. Okay, so I think this looks pretty, right? That's kind of how glazing works. And really, you just layer these layers on top of each other over and over again, and it starts to look like petals. You want to keep this dark line, so you want to make sure that when you're pushing the paint down into the bottom here, like into the anatomy of the petal down here, whatever that's called. Tra-la-la. Does anybody really care when they're doing these techniques of like what the actual technical names are? Because like I don't. I just see the technique and I'm like, glazing, cool, that's all I need to know. It's just like whatever you're glazing, this is how it works. Whatever your deepest most pigmented part of the subject is where you're gonna push the paint towards, and then the rest of this you're just gonna add more and more layers to that. So it got hot. All right, now you can kind of see how this has dried. This is more uniform because I made sure that I evenly distributed the pigment, and then on this one I just kind of let it go where it wanted. This one I added 3 colors to this and just kind of dropped the paint in wherever I wanted it to go. So, and then this is glazing. And then the next technique is wet on dry. So I'm not going to wet the paper here. I'm going to just go in wet with wet paint on dry paper. And this is, you know, you want to kind of like, depending on what you're doing, like for me, like in this demonstration, I'm just going to let the paint go as far as I can stretch it without going back in. And this is just, that's the first stroke, and it gets lighter and lighter with each stroke. And depending on the quality of your brush, this may not work for you. This brush happens to hold a lot of water, which allows me to do that. Maybe a more synthetic brush that doesn't hold as much water is going to dry out within like the second or third pass. So again, like your brush may not do this, and it also depends on the paper that you use. Cheaper paper, you may go pretty far on it because it doesn't soak up the water like cotton paper does. Okay. And then like my personal favorite. Oh yeah. So my personal favorite, okay, is salt. Okay. So you just throw some pigment on there. See what I've got here. I just realized that I used purple and orange, and it's gonna turn gray. Right? No, it's purple and green. Purple and green are complementary, I believe, on the color wheel. Sometimes yeah. So when you mix complementary colors together, they kind of null each other out, and then it turns gray. And so if you're ever wondering why your paintings are turning muddy or gray, that might be why. Because color theory. So yeah, this is and now I'm just blotting. So there you go. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, this is 1, 2. This is all one. It's all wet on wet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then yes, cotton paper. This is 100% cold pressed cotton paper. And depending on the brand of paper, it's the paint's gonna soak in different. So if you're using like, this is Arch's cold press, this stuff just soaks water into it so beautifully. Saunders Waterford is another good brand. It does soak, but it doesn't soak in as much as, actually, it probably soaks in a lot more, and here's why I say that is because with Arches, you can lift color that's been sitting on there for a few minutes, almost back to where it's completely white, okay? Let's see. Let me test that. Because I know I can, yeah, you can get a lot of lift. Okay, so this has kind of been sitting on there for a couple minutes at least. So like if you needed to lift it, and this one's been sitting for a while, I don't know how much lift I'm gonna get off of this now that it's been sitting a little bit. But I do notice that with Saunders Waterford, once you put the pigment down on there and it sits for a couple minutes, you're not getting that off. Like, it's done. And at least with like Arches, in my experience, if I need to lift, you know, and like you get, there's no pilling. So yeah, I mean, this is still lifting pretty well. You just have to keep adding water to it. But with the Saunders Waterford, you're not lifting that as easily. I've always had trouble trying to lift pigment off of Saunders Waterford. It's great paper. It paints beautifully. But if you're someone that likes to lift, I stand by Arches. To me, it's just like, it's the top tier paper. There's other like I've got like an aquarelle paper in there too that's 100% cotton that I haven't used yet, but it's huge, and in order for me to use it I have to cut it down, and I don't want to necessarily cut that paper down. So this is a small little I don't want this to drip, but this is Arch's little travel journal. Hello, there we go. And it's 300 gram, 140 pound, 100% cotton paper. Okay. And this is cold press. Then there's like rough, and then hot press. And hot press is going to feel more like a sheet of paper, so it's not going to be as textured. Most watercolor artists use... Oh, boo hiss. It ate all of my salt. That's okay, because here's what I'm going to do. How dare you? I'm just going to... All I'm doing right here is splattering water to push this pigment. So now you see what it's doing here. And it's only doing that because the paint is probably like 30% dry. Does wet on wet have problems at an angle like on an easel? Yes. But it just depends on what you're trying to do. So in this case, like, I do like that effect. I do think it's very, very pretty, and it just depends on the effect you're going for and what you're trying to do. So, like, if you know you're going to be... Alright, here's a little bit of an angle. You can see. Let me zoom out a little bit, sorry. Alright, so my paper is on an angle, okay? And you'll just have to pretend like this is an easel. If I wanted to do like a wet on wet on an easel at an angle, you have to understand, like, it's going to go down, okay? The paint is going to go down. Wherever the water is going to sit. So if this is taped off, it's going to sit on the tape. One thing that you can do if you're worried about water dripping off and onto your easel, take a towel or something and put it under here to kind of catch it. Or your next option is to just catch the drips and just use a tissue. But sometimes the drips look good. So, if I were working on, like, maybe, you know, something here, painting intuitively, just kind of picking through colors. You see where it's starting to pool. That might be okay with you. I'm just gonna play around here because I can, and why not? I might turn this into a forest or something, and, you know, it's... So, you see how this stopped here? This may spill over on an easel, but I'm gonna grab it with a tissue paper. There we go, done. So you can see, like, down here, it's pretty dry. I don't know like what the angle of your easel is. It might be more upright than this. And again, you just be aware of where the water's going. I like to paint on an angle. I think it's really fun. And then soak. Another thing you can do is gonna lift, you know, maybe put some trees in here. If let's say like you see how my water kind of stopped here and I don't like that, I take a spray bottle and soften that because maybe I want the paint. And look, these spray bottles are like 80 cents at Walmart. Like, you don't need to buy some special spray bottle. Go dump some old stuff out of your closet, your bathroom closet. You'll find a spray bottle. You know. Throw this in here. I love this color. I love this color. And then you just kind of left that dry. That's the hardest part. It's like waiting for the stuff to dry so you can go in and add trees and a forest or something in here. You know, like maybe you want some happy little trees in the forest. I know it doesn't look like anything right now, but that's okay. Like, you put in what you see. You know, now I might want to lay it flat a little bit. Maybe not so much on an angle. And just kind of let the water. Walmart has a cotton resume paper in the store. Can you use that for watercolor? Cotton resume paper. Let me tell you, like, some of the you're trying to get paper from Walmart. I'm gonna throw this aside. This is what this looks like right now. We'll work on that later. If you're gonna get paper from Wally World. Let me think. What did I buy from Walmart when I was... Okay, so Walmart has a... I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that. You can try it, though. I would look at the weight, because the weight of the paper is what's going to be important. If it's cotton paper with a good weight, if it's too thin, it won't. It'll ripple. Because paper that's too thin will ripple. And then it'll pill. And what I mean by pilling is when you take paper and you add paint to it, and then you start to move your brush around on that paper. the paper will start to disintegrate and it'll pill. And then it'll lead to holes, and it's gonna be very frustrating. Walmart does carry a brand of watercolor paper that will get you in the door. So if you can't afford to do, you know, expensive Arches paper, that's fine. Okay, like you don't have to do that. Strathmore. I don't know if you have a Hobby Lobby near you, but Hobby Lobby has 40% off coupons for the most expensive. Is it the most? I think it's the most expensive item in your cart or something like that. They always have paper deals, always. And they sell Strathmore. So if you're looking for a deal on cotton paper, it's a good cotton blend. And they do have watercolor paper, and it is beautiful. And I love it, and I still paint on it today. This is what let me knock everything over real quick. Ah! Okay. So this is my watercolor journal. And I know Strathmore, I know that Hobby Lobby should carry something similar to this. The weight of it, again, is what's important. It's 140 pounds, so the paper is very thick. This is the 400 series watercolor. They do have like a mixed media, and the mixed media paper works really well too. So you can give that a try. But would I suggest using like cotton resume paper? I don't know what that feels like, so I wouldn't know. I can't say that I would use it. Depends on the paint you're using, maybe. Like if you're using like Crayola watercolor, because that's what I started with. I'm not gonna judge, because I started with Crayola watercolor. And I fell in love with watercolor because of it pilling. With resume paper, it's okay. Arches cold presses, yes. So that resume paper is not thick enough. You need something with a minimum, I would say, of 300 grams. Or yeah, 300 GSM. I don't know why I keep thinking that's grams. You need something that is a minimum of like 140 pounds. It's thick. It's juicy. No pilling. And you could paint on the front and back. Hobby Lobby. Dick Blick. That's where I get all my art supplies, is Dick Blick. This paper paints so well. So well. Here's some of my sketches in the sketchbook done with watercolor. And it has such beautiful effects that you could do. It's so pretty. Like I would 1,000% get a ton of these sketchbooks, especially when they're on sale. Because this is from like, you can see all the different layers that have been added, and it dries so quickly. And it's so workable for something that, like, if you're just trying to do like a small study of anything, you're studying a bee, you're studying a person's face, you're studying a video game character, you're studying anything, and you want to paint on it. I'm not sponsored, but this right here, I will buy 1,000 of these, because they're so fun to sketch in and paint on. This paper, you can use gouache, you can use watercolor. Yo, I've seen people paint with oil. They prime this paper with gesso, with acrylic gesso, and then they paint on it. I would suggest, though, if you're going to use this paper for gouache or anything other than watercolor, that you do prime it. You put something down first, like some kind of wash of burnt sienna with gouache, or you prime it with a gesso, because it does act funny with gouache. But like I said, if you prime it, it'll work great. It'll work great. There's literally nothing you can do that you can't do with that. with that. All right, I think this is dry enough for me to... This makes me so angry that it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Maybe if I sprinkle some more salt on it. How dare you! Dang on it. I thought the salt kind of dissolved too quickly. Wow. So anyway, what I'm going to do is drop some pigment in that. Wow. Actually, that kind of worked. So, okay, happy accidents, right? Because like I said, I didn't want to paint each flower individually. That's not what I was interested in doing with this, and that's where I kind of messed up with the other one, was that I tried to add too much detail, and it doesn't need it. No, sir. There's tons of brands of watercolor paper out there, so like don't just like take my word for it. Like play around with different paper, because you might find a paper that you like better. I just happen to really like Strathmore. I really like Arches, because it just paints beautifully. All I did here was add some quinacridone gold. Because I like that color a lot. It's so pretty. Alright, and then I believe this is magenta. Alright. That's what I wanted to do with this flower, okay? So, yes, I'm gonna leave that alone and let that kind of, like... I'm gonna sprinkle some more salt on it, because my blood pressure's not high enough, so we're gonna go ahead and add some more salt. Get it really going. Listen, I don't have any rhyme or reason to anything that I do, I just work here. Paint monkey. Alright. I'm gonna kind of adjust my... stool just a tad. Alright, so I think moving forward, what we've learned from today is that I need to have some in-between things when I run into this where my painting needs to dry. I need to have 2 paintings. So how about that? Like if it's something that I need that needs a little bit of time to dry between layers, how about I juggle like 2 different paintings? It's like this one is gonna be fun to kind of make into something, and it looks crazy, but it won't when I add trees and stuff to it. But if I worked on like 2 different paintings, or gave a little like in between while I'm letting this dry, we go over some more techniques or more... See, this is what I wanted. Look at that. Look how pretty that turned out. And it's not even dry, but you can see all the like... the texture in there. Like, I hope that's what happens here. Maybe I should have used this violet and Saturn red. It just looks so pretty. Ugh, lessons. Hey, we learned something today. Those two colors look really good with each other. Geez, I hope you guys weren't here to watch artwork. Alright, so for this bee, let's zoomy. Hello, little bee. Hello, you. Gonna work on this. Dang it. I didn't know my brush was wet. So, for this part, I'm going to wet the paper just here. Okay, and then go in with a yellow. Let's try this yellow right here. I think this is like gamboge or something. Or maybe it's just yellow. It's actually a really nice yellow. And then here, I want to keep some of this, you know, where it's white. I know you can't see it, but in the reference here, you can see where it's pretty white, very light yellow in here. And I still want to keep that. So I don't want to put yellow all over the paper, just where it's the darkest yellow. And now, gee, what color is this? It's quinacridone gold. 10 points to Gryffindor. Great job. And I know you can't see it because it's wet, but look at that. Ooh, it's so pretty. Sorry, I get excited because I love color. I will tell you though, the best piece of advice that I can give anybody that's starting out with watercolor, get yourself one damn good brush. Just one. Like, you don't need to buy a bank buster or anything like that. This brush here though, I think it's a silver black velvet. It's a size 6. I use this brush for everything, okay? Get it in a 6, get it in an 8, get it in a 12. I probably have it in, let's see. Here's a 12. That's pretty fat. You can see the difference between a 6 and a 12. And then I've got like this bad boy, which is an 18. So this is for bigger paintings where I need to cover more space. But this brush here is like $17, I think. Trust me, there's brushes that are just, well, they're so expensive, it's insane. But this brush, if you take care of it, it's gonna last you. It's gonna last. It's so much better than buying a cheap brush that it's gonna fall apart. It's gonna rot. The hairs aren't gonna hold as much. It's gonna frustrate you, and you're not gonna want to paint. So, get a brush. Spend the extra money. Like, you can get away with cheap paper while you're learning, but if your brush is like boo-boo, you're gonna be crying. Like, I can't. I'm terrible at... No, it's not that you're bad at painting. It's that you have a bad brush. That's what I blame everything on. Like, if my painting turns out bad, it's because my brush was bad, not because of me. This brush is trash. Ah! Just my opinion. So, from experience, I'll say. Because, man, I bought some cheap Amazon brushes and couldn't figure out like why this was not working. And just being really sad about it. What is this happening? I'm gonna lift this right here just a little bit. And also add in some of this yellow. That is under the bee. Okay. And just let that kind of happen there. Okay. So the colors that I'm using here are super granulated. They're Schminke super granulated. So that's why they are looking this way. Normal watercolors don't do this. Kind of granulated effect. But you can achieve that with salt. Kind of. We'll see how that turns out when it dries. Okay. I want this to be a little fuzzy looking, so that's what I'm gonna try to do here. Is make this look a little fuzzy. I burned my hand on the stove, that's what that is. It's really itchy too. Ugh. Time to zoom out just a hair. All right, so you can see where my black bled into my yellow a little bit, and I'm not hip to that, so I'm gonna lift it while it's drying because I can't have that. No, I'm not gonna let that happen. You're not ruining my bee today. Paint. Like, how dare you? Not my bee. Okay. Okay. So now we're at a standstill because I can't add any details while that's drying. Ooh. Unfortunate. But I will add some yellow here. Tra-la la la la. Hey. Hey, we're doing it. We're doing it. All right. We'll put that aside from now. Let that dry a little bit more. And now we can torture ourselves with this. Zoom out. Okay. Alright. So I kind of see some stuff happening here. Yeah, that's dry enough. It's dry enough. But I want to put like I want to put some trees in here, right? Okay. That's what we're going to try to do. Now, we're not going to judge ourselves too harshly because we're experimenting. We don't really know how this is going to turn out. But, you know, it could turn out all right. We'll start by putting some grass in here, you know. Just some land. Okay, maybe this could be some water. I don't really know yet. But here's what I do know, is that I want some trees. And I want some trees that are nearby, that are in the foreground. Use your words. And some trees that are in the background. So the trees that are farther away, I kind of want them to be lighter. And the trees that are going to be closest to us are going to be darker, except for I ran out of my dark green. I don't even know what green this is. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. To run out of that green and then not know what color green that is. Do you even paint? It's another thing that I really like about this brush is that you can get some really fine lines off of it. I really like the idea of super spooky looking forests. And I like to practice trees and tree limbs to kind of loosen up. I used to paint tree limbs very straight, and they're not. So, yeah. Trees. I went to Hawaii once and the trees there were so beautiful and curvy, and you know, they just kind of twist and wrap around each other, and the trees are huge and they seem to just kind of go on forever. And this was back before I was really painting. In hindsight, I wish I could have, you know, gone in and painted what I saw. And I didn't. So what a missed opportunity. Maybe I'll get to go back one day and, you know, paint the trees. Let's see how my bee looks. So here's the bummer, right? So if this is water, now I have to like try to bring these trees in here. Because I didn't think this through. Like, do I want to paint every one of these trees in here? Try to make it look like it's reflecting. You know, this is something that I also need practice with, is making my reflections in the water. This like very haunted Valheim looking lake. So I'm going to water this down a little bit more. And then I don't want these trees looking dead. I didn't want dead looking trees. So let's see what happens if we try to give them some branches, right? Some leaves. Branches. I want to give them leaves. Then what we do up there, we have to do down here, right? And maybe they don't all have... Wow, that's too much green, I think. Eh. No! That was the wrong grain. Let's do this one instead. Okay. Ruined! Shoot! Why did I do that? I mean, now it's like so... Well, I could probably fix that with a, once it dries. Right, right. That's what we'll tell ourselves anyway. 'Cause denial. Denial. You know, I think would look really good is maybe some blue or whatever that purple was that I threw in here that I don't remember. This one. Yeah. And then whatever this is. Yeah. Alright. Throw all these colors down here. Whoo-wee! Okay, so I think once that dries, I can add some shadows in the leaves and then darken the branches to give it some depth, because we know that I struggle with depth with landscapes. So it's kind of pretty. Throw that aside. Come back to this bee. Okay. All right. Work on the. Hello, where's my black? Is that you? Are you my black? Yeah. Okay. All right. Time to get back in here. Time to get back in here, darling. Oops, I stuck that in the wrong. Okay. I'll try to clean this up. And paint the little bee arms. Which are here. Okay, now going to work on this eye area. See how this goes. It could go south really quick if I'm being stupid. I know, my watch is like, you need to stand up. No. I don't want to. I'm working. Okay. Little bee, little bee. Fuzzy little bee, little bee. Brush is so nice for details. Okay. Bubba B. Alright, let's see if I can not ruin this wing here. Try to hone in my steady hand kick. My hand does not always want to hold still. Especially if I'm like really concentrating on trying to make some fine lines here, my hand starts to like weeble wobble. And then it's ruined. Ruined. I think people on Facebook thought I was gonna stream on Facebook when I said that when I mentioned like, oh, I'll be streaming art videos. I am not streaming on Facebook. I think it's fine if other people want to do it. I just don't. I think it's more fun to stream here and then just transfer the video over to YouTube. So hi, YouTube. I was also told that like maybe I should look into streaming on both at the same time. Oh no! What happened? Oh. Hold on a second, I gotta figure out why that froze. I know! What happened? Give me a second to figure that out. Where's my mouse? That's weird that just happened. I might have to restart that real quick because that shouldn't have happened. Unless I had a phone call. Oh, my lamp went out? Okay, cool. Everything is winning today. Okay. Here's what I'll do. I'll restart it. There we go. And then there we go, and then we'll just wake it up there. Okay. Sorry about that. This is what I'm talking about when I say that I need to work on getting a better case for my phone because the case that I have has a clip on the back, which makes that really annoying. And it doesn't want to just stick. For a second, I thought my internet had gone out. It did not. It was just unlucky. I can hear my kid in there, like, having way too much fun. Also, where are you going? Little flower? You calm down. You're going too far there, buddy. The flower's getting a little out of hand. With its... So, here's the thing, is that I don't... This is not going to be dry enough, so what I'm going to do is... let it dry and then finish it up on the next stream. So I won't touch it after this because I want it to dry. I want you guys to see the whole process. You know, I don't like the idea of finishing it off stream. And then you guys don't get to see that part. Especially if you're following along. Boo hiss. No, that streamer's terrible. She finishes her artwork off stream. And I was following along. Griefing me. I don't need that. I can grief myself. So I will get as far in this as I can. And then post the rest of the process, or finish it on stream the next time, because you can't always get them all done. Also, there's some brown in this, and I really want to know what it is. Is it this? Maybe it's this. That did not work at all. Alright. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave this be at this. Okay. And then we'll finish it up tomorrow and work on the next thing. Because there's not anything else I can do with the flower. You know? And it's getting to that 2-hour mark, which I'm fine with going over. But and then I sit here and work on this for another hour because I can't stop. Won't stop. I'm gonna do some dry brush here. So while I wrap this up, I noticed that my coffee did not remind anybody of anything, so if you wanted to stay up on upcoming projects or, you know, references when I do my paint along with me videos or streams, and you want to know what the reference is so you can have a jump on what supplies you'll be needing for that, head on over to Coffee. It's free to join, and I will always post my references and keep you guys up to date on upcoming events or giveaways that I'll be doing going into January of 2025. So if you're interested in that stuff, please drop a follow or sign up for Coffee, and you'll find me there. I post pretty frequently. All the paintings that I work on, they go up there or in the Discord. So if you want to join in Discord, !Discord in the chat, or linktree, all of my socials. I should probably put on the screen, but I'm bad at Twitch, so I forget to do these things. That's why Shin's here to do them for me. But yeah, you know, that stuff is fun, and I like to paint, and if you want to see more, then, you know, follow me on Coffee, follow me on Discord, or join the Discord, and you know, the YouTube, all these videos go up on YouTube the next morning. So tomorrow morning, this will be on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. And that is where I'm gonna leave this tonight. And we will pick up on and do some more little fine details. Stop! 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 Okay. I'll just keep going. Like, I'll sit here and just forget and say my outro and then like keep painting, and I gotta get going. So that was fun. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. Mocap, nice to see you again. Honest NPC, good to see you again. Shin, thank you. You wonderful man, you generous man. Yeah, so you guys take it easy. Have a good one. And I'll see you next time. I think my next stream is Friday. I wasn't going to. I don't know it. See, okay, I'm gonna research. Thank you for mentioning that, because I'm going to look up some new artists. I'm gonna look up who's streaming around this time so that I can raid the next time. So thank you for pointing that out, because I just actually noticed something here and I don't like it. I'm gonna go over that. Okay. I'm disgusting. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful night, and I will look up some artists moving forward so that I have people to raid out to. Thanks, Shen. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Friday night, I think. I'll probably stream again tomorrow though, but Friday. You guys have a good one.